Hello there, everyone. Today, if you'll indulge me, I would like to tell you a few of the times I have had paranormal experiences and seen paranormal stuff. There aren't any images or anything, so sadly, I just have my own memory to go off of. These are multiple small stories, but are all 100% true. These stories do take place in 2 different locations. I changed my name just for privacy reasons, but that is the only thing that is altered in these stories. Everything is, again, 100% true. This may be a longer post, so without any more stalling, let's get started. This first story is the only one I cannot remember, given the fact that I was only 3 or 4 years old. So this is my mother's telling of the story. This all begins about 19 years ago. The house that my parents first moved into was originally an old church, but was remodeled into being a house. Not much of the old church was left at the house, minus the wood flooring in the den. Now apparently, my parents had heard choir music, the sounds of boots on hard floors, and even seen a shadowy figure once. But as for what happened to me, my parents were trying to move me from sleeping in their bedroom to my own, but for some reason, I wouldn't do it. My only reason being, I was scared to. So my mom asked me, "Why are you too scared to sleep in your own room? Do you need a nightlight maybe?" And apparently I said, and I quote, "Because of the tall dark man in the corner over there." Then apparently I pointed over to a corner of my room where, surprise, surprise, no one was there. A few other things happened in that house, but none to me personally. If there is interest, I can make a separate post on it. Fast forward a few years, and we are at our second house. Now this is where shit starts to get crazy. I feel like I should preface by saying there is a room in my house, we'll just call it the den. Since day one of being in this house, I never liked that room. I felt like I was being watched every time I was alone in there, so I did everything in my power to stay out of that room. I still do, even to this day. The first incident was when I was no older than 9 or 10. It was the last day of school for me and my little brother Mark. Me, my mom, and Mark were at our house. Mark realized he left his towel at school and needed to go back and get it. My mom then turned to me and said, "Are you okay staying at the house for 10 minutes while we go back up to the school and get it?" I said I was. The school is less than a mile from where we were at. The first minute after they left, I am sitting in the living room and I start to hear my mom and Mark talking from my mother's bathroom, even though I'm completely home alone. I then hear them start to laugh. Then it stops, and everything was quiet. A few minutes later, my mom and Mark walked back into the house. However, 10-year-old me didn't even bother to mention it for some reason. A few years go by until the next incident. Now, before we keep going, I need to explain 2 things to you, dear readers. First thing, I need to tell you that personally, I am very much so a night owl. Staying up to 3 or 4 in the morning is nothing new to me. The second thing in my house is there is a hallway. At one end is the front door, at the other end is the back door. Now this hallway has 3 doorways / entryways. The den, the kitchen, and my parents' room. The kitchen has a bar so you were able to see the whole living room and into my parents' room. If their door is open, and then further up next to the front door is the den. The next story takes place a few months ago, around 2-ish at night. I am standing in the kitchen, washing dishes. And as I am doing so, I hear 2 things crystal fucking clear coming from the den down the hallway. I hear an old man go, "Shh," followed by a little girl giggling. I freeze in the middle of what I'm doing. I am the only person awake right now. I don't have a little sister, and both Mark and my dad are asleep. I am the only person awake. Now at this point, I am panicking on the inside. However, I am trying to keep my composure on the outside. I turn off the water in the sink and walk to my parents' bedroom. I then shake my dad awake and say, "Is there anyone else in this house besides me, you, and Mark?" He simply said, "No, there isn't," and just falls back asleep. Annoyed, I walk out of my parents' room and am immediately looking down the hallway, right toward the den, and there's nothing. Just like there should be. I sigh and go back to doing the dishes because I still have chores that need to be done. The next night, again, same story, I'm doing the dishes. Now, something to note. I had just stood up and my shorts slipped a bit. I pulled them back up. However, the front half of my shirt is now untucked, while the back half is tucked into my shorts. As I am washing dishes, I feel something grab the back of my shirt and pop it, untucking my shorts completely. I just simply ignore it and keep doing dishes. But again, inside I am fucking terrified. A few months go by where nothing happens, just the same old feeling that you're being watched everywhere you go. Until one night, I am heading to bed. Now this involves making sure the front and back door are both locked. So first thing I check the front door. It's locked, so I walk down the hallway, reach the back door, and then lock it. I then turn around and see half a person walking into the den. The lower half. It's cut off right at the waist. Now this person was completely see-through and sort of gray, like the ghost in the Harry Potter movies. So, I stand there for a few seconds, in pure disbelief at what I just saw. I then very quickly walk to my room and shut the door behind me. The most recent incident was last month. This time, I was not the only person awake. However, I was the only person in the house. My dad was out in the garage working, so I am standing in the kitchen eating a sandwich. It's important to note as well, my parents' door was open in this story, so I look up from my food for a second, and I see again half a person standing in my parents' room, but this time it's the top half. I look back down at my food. It's only after about a half a second that my brain processes what the hell I just saw. I then quickly look back up and into my parents' room, and there was nothing. No one was there. Now here we are in present day. Nothing new has happened as of late. However, the feeling of being watched at night grows stronger by the day. And before anyone asks, no, I am not the only person that has experienced stuff. Both my parents and Mark have as well. Anyways, thank you for allowing me the chance to hopefully entertain you. Or even scare you if I'm lucky. I hope you enjoyed my stories. If anything happens, I'll be sure to write another post.